Hello everyone, it's me again, C, living on World War II rations while I write a World War II recipe book. And I'm living on World War II rations because it's going to help me spend less money while I haven't got a job and while I haven't got an income. And that enables me to live my dream, which is to give over the next 3 to 4 months to write this recipe book, which I've wanted to do for 15 years, get it completed, get it self-published. And of course I have more time to do all the things that I love, which is talk about rationing, read about rationing, slow down a bit and really gain back my mental and physical health by doing so too. Yeah, I've just come on here on a whim. I don't really know what I'm going to talk about. The only thing that I have done is on my way down, walking downstairs, is just grabbed an armful of books. Literally, I thought, well, there's a good place to start. Let's talk about some of the books that I've been going through this week and which are going to help me find out more about the home front during World War II. So you may have seen this book, which I put up last week on my channel, and it was the Ambrose Heath book, which is a fantastic book, Vegetables for Victory. It has over 600 main vegetable dishes in the book. If you haven't seen it, I'll put a link below. Please go on there and have a look. I do a quick flick through. It's a phenomenal book, and I think you'll find it really, really interesting, especially if you like vegetables. So before we have a quick flick through the books, how has everybody been? How are you getting on with your rationing challenges? If you don't know already, we have an amazing Facebook group. There's over nearly 17,000 of us in the group. People from all over the world. And our main passion is talking about rationing. You know, we've got some amazing moderators. There's Kate, there's Dawn, and now we have Holly on board, and Holly is a wealth of information, running many challenges throughout the week. So please go over there. It's on Facebook, and just search for World War II 1940s experiment rations. And if you put those keywords in, it should pop up, but I will put a link down below. So it'd be lovely if you could pop over there and join us. Yeah, so what are we going to speak about today? You know what happens as soon as you get in front of a camera and you don't prepare, you think, well, what actually am I going to speak about? So many people have asked me to talk about many, many different things, and I do promise that I will do that. There's been quite a few requests for let's have a video going through the points allowance that people had during World War II. And I totally agree, that really does need a good explainer video. It's quite complicated, but once you get your head around it, it was such a really good system introduced by Lord Woolton, the Minister of Food. And the more I've been reading about that guy, the more I think I need to do a video about himself. We had somebody come on the other day who left a comment saying they were doing a dissertation about Lord Woolton and his leadership style, and I can understand that because he was a phenomenal leader and he knew how to let people know about nutrition, and he organised so many campaigns during the war to keep people healthy and fit, and to make sure that everybody had access to the basic nutrients of life. It's phenomenal, isn't it, when you think about it? We're still talking about it today, aren't we? We still remember all those characters and the Dig for Victory campaigns and, you know, everything. We just remember it all. And yeah, it's quite phenomenal when you think at that time probably was 48 million people in the UK. I can't remember. Please somebody enlighten me. I'll Google it after this, but that's a lot of people to make sure everybody gets the same amount of nutrition, those basic building blocks of life. So I really need to do a video about him as well. One of the other things somebody's mentioned is, please can we have a video about going through a ration book step by step? How would the ration book have been used? because we get little glimpses into that, don't we? And but it does seem quite complicated. We look at some of the food flash videos and things back from the 40s, but there's never really a big and deep explanation. I presume there's written literature out there somewhere that we can probably find if we dig around. But it would be lovely to go through it from front to back and explain exactly what would happen, what would you have done. Yeah, so I will try and get that done over the coming weeks or months as well. That's a really good thing. I think one of the big subjects we have at the moment, oh, excuse me, though, is when you think about it, it's economy. A lot of us are really struggling economically. It's challenging for many people to make those pennies stretch. And I think a lot of people do rationing, not from just the historical perspective. I mean, obviously you've got to be passionate about that time period, I think, to deep dive into some sort of rationing challenge like that. But also, you know, there are many aspects to that which can help us as well. And I think economically, going back to basic whole foods and making your food allowance, your budget stretch, is one of those things that just seems to happen naturally. So I've just been comparing some of the prices, what I was paying before on a lot of convenience foods, and just picking up stuff willy-nilly. It's been quite hard to stop myself doing that. It's so easy to reach for something that's pre-cooked, pre-packaged. Of course, a lot of that wasn't available during the war, especially as time progressed, and the focus was more on nutrition and what was available locally, rather than being imported. So yeah, that can be that can be quite difficult. But yes, so before, on a weekly basis, just if I was picking up food as I wanted, if I was going out and having a coffee here and there as I wanted, I was spending, you know, maybe between £50 and £75 every week on not only just my basic foods, but all the snack foods, going out and buying a sandwich, going and have a coffee. It's easy to spend £75 a week if I wasn't really watching the pennies. That's not doable now for me at all because I have no income. So for me, going back to rationing, which I am doing, and I'm going to live and breathe rationing, food rationing, while I write my book. So I expect to be on this for at least another 3 months or so. But looking back at my grocery bills, they are averaging between £14 and £18 a week at the moment. And, you know, with the odd bit where I spend a bit more. That's a lot of difference when you think about it. And I'm sure I could probably cut a few more corners and rein some more stuff in and actually spend even less than that. But I would say I'm comfortably getting by on less than £20 a week, which makes a lot of difference from £75 a week, doesn't it? It's a lot of difference. So that helps. Another thing is the health benefits. A lot of people think, well, there's a lot of fat and a lot of sugar during the war, and there is. I buy 1 week's worth of sugar and I can't get through it. It takes me a month to get through the allowance. But of course, at the moment, I'm not baking desserts, you know, and I think if I was, I'd probably be using up much more of that sugar. So I'll be stashing that sugar because I'm damn well going to make jam and pickles and all sorts come the summer, because I really want to get back to doing that. I didn't do any of that last year at all. So yeah, so when we talk about what the rations were and how much they were and how much they cost, we also got to take into consideration the health benefits really of it. And we look at that basic ration that we talk about and how many ounces we had of margarine or butter, the amount of fat, the amount of sugar, the amount of cheese, which was minuscule, and most of it varied between 2 to 4 ounces. And you'd only get a special ration of 8 ounces if you were vegetarian or a manual worker. Yeah, you know, I think you look at that and you think, well, that's quite a lot of fat. That's quite a lot of sugar. But it wasn't really. Not really. When you're not just being able to buy hidden sugars in convenience food anymore. And then, of course, through the Ministry of Food and through our positive food propaganda, which helped keep us happy and healthy, there was a drive to grow your own fruit and veg and to fill up on these. Maybe people weren't eating so much of those earlier on, but certainly by eating a lot of whole foods in your rationing diet, I think that really has a good impact on you and your health. And I've lived on rationing diets before. When I say a diet, that sounds terrible, doesn't it? I've lived on rations before out of a curiosity for the food and for the recipes and things, to recreate those, and hoping that I would spend less money and possibly get healthier. And those are the three main components for me. And I have each and every time when I've lived on rations. My weight has dropped. I felt happier and healthier. The most I've ever lost in 1 year, I think, was around about nearly 80 pounds when I stuck to it for a year. So it does work. It does make you healthier. But it is so difficult living in a modern world surrounded by temptation, because as soon as you start eating those convenience foods again, it's like there's some weird kind of special drug in them. I know there isn't. Well, you know, I'm not going to say any more, but it's almost as if that, clicks that addiction back in your brain again, and you just reach for those convenience foods, and before you know it, what's it? Is it Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt? That's an old phrase. Where does that come from? There you are, back again, reaching for a big chocolate bar, reaching for a bag of crisps, reaching for a tub of ice cream. Oh my God, don't those things taste amazing? But, excuse my language, but they are shit for you. I'm going to have to beep that out. I don't often swear. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I feel like it, but I try not to. And I think, yeah, that's what I think, getting back to rationing is a tried and tested way of keeping people healthy. And it really does save money. God, do you know what? I waffle so much. I don't know how long I've waffled for already, and I've not even started on the books. What I also wanted to say was, in the spirit of trying to get healthier, once again, I know it's about my 1000th time of trying to lose weight, get healthier and maintain it. But at least I get up and keep trying. That's in the spirit, isn't it? But in the spirit of that, I've launched, for my own amusement, I guess, Operation Pinafore. I have a Pinafore apron, which I bought many, many years ago. I can't remember where I got it from. I think I must have got it from a reenactors event, possibly. But they are quite expensive, even, But I've never been able to wear it. I've worn it, but it doesn't fit. It doesn't wrap around properly. And now it's just bursting at the seams. And I need to get back into that because I absolutely love it. And I want to go around like Nora Batty and just imagine myself back in the 1940s, just whistling away in the kitchen. And that's just what I want to do. So I'm going to have to take this serious, but on a, every month, every week, maybe every month, I'm going to do a twirl and to show you how hopefully my Pinafore apron, my wraparound pinny, will look more comfortable on me, will begin to look a bit looser. And then maybe one day in 3, 4, 5, 6 months, it'll wrap around properly. So I just thought that was a bit of fun. Operation Pinafore. Anybody wants to join me, you're welcome. I'm going to be posting little regular updates on that as well. What can I tell you? Some of the books I've been reading this week. This is one of my favourite. It's Margaret Y. Brady's Health for All. It's wartime recipes. There were health shops. There were health shops in the 1940s. And there was even some of them during the war in the 1940s. I found out actually where I live in Swindon. During the 1940s, there was actually a health shop in Swindon. Can't find much out about it. I just remember it being mentioned in an article, which blew my mind because I didn't think there was such a thing. She mentioned some odd concoctions or odd ingredients like Nutter. You may have seen me talking about that on one of my videos. And when she mentions Nutter, it's as if everybody knows what Nutter is. But in fact, it ended up being a nut butter, which I didn't know. I guess it's like a peanut butter. I didn't know they had that in the 40s. It's not really mentioned in recipes apart from in this book, but obviously there was. I made a really nice cabbage and celery soup for my lunch today out of this book, and that was pretty quick. It only took about half an hour to do. That's one of the things I wanted to mention, actually, is do you think, you know, not only the ingredients when you're, you know, living by rationing, but it's the time it takes to create food from scratch. I mean, porridge doesn't take much in the morning, or a piece of toast, but once you get on to lunchtime and dinner, really making the food takes quite a lot of time, doesn't it? And if that's the only way you're going to get your food, you know, and you don't have the convenience foods or very little of them, maybe that's one of the reasons that we shift a lot of weight as well, not only the whole foods. Other books I've been looking, recipe books I've been looking through this week, of course many of you have these already. I find these really good. I love that the fact they have readers' recipes in, and that's something I really want to put in my book. So if you go along to my website, which you can get there by going to rationbookrecipes.com or the1940sexperiment.com, you will see that one of my posts has a little form. I'd love it if anybody wanted to submit one of their tried and tested recipes that maybe they've found over the years and love to cook and use, and you know, or maybe it's an old recipe, a family recipe. If you'd like to put that in my book, I'd love to have a reader's recipe section, so please do reach out. I picked up this from a charity shop recently. It's, I don't know, you know what it's about. It says The Kitchen Front, the Great British Bake Off set in World War II, an enchanting hug of a novel. I just liked the cute little cover, so I'll let you know what that's. I hope to start having a read of that soon. I thought that was rather cute. I think I picked it up for 50p. I pulled this off my bookshelf as well, The Green and Pleasant Land, by Ursula Buchan. How England's gardeners fought the Second World War. And I thought, from a historical perspective and learning more about how people grew their veggies and what happened during World War II, this book would be fascinating. So this is one I'm definitely going to be, not reading it from cover to cover, but I will be dipping into to find out information. A couple of other really good books that I've been dipping into recently is this one, Norman Longmate, How We Lived Then, and it's a history of everyday life during the Second World War. And now that is one hell of a chunky book, and it's going to have so much information. It's got tons and tons of amazing black and white photos in. And these books are created by amazing historians, so it's going to have a wealth of information. And I know we Google things and it's really easy to find stuff on Google, but quite honestly, we don't really know what we're reading if it's historically accurate. But I think if you look in a book by a renowned author who's done their research, we can actually find details which we know will be accurate. This book has everything in it. It's from building your own shelter, the kitchen front, the cardboard wedding cake, the green ration book, a whole orange for Christmas, dig for victory, make do and mend, saucepans into Spitfires. Oh gosh, there's so much. I'm just reading out a few of the chapters, but I'm really, really looking forward to finding out more information from that. And another book, again, such a chunky monkey, Juliet Gardner, Wartime Britain, 1939 to 1945. And I've just pulled out this chapter, chapter 7, The Kitchen Front. I haven't started reading it again. Again, these are charity shop finds, but it looks like there is a lot of information in here that will be so, so helpful. And I love the fact that they have quotes in here from real people who really shared what happened to them during the war, what they were experiencing, and their real life situations. This is really good. This is more, I think, The War May Not Be Over by Christmas. This is probably a bit less. It's got some home front stuff on it. But I definitely pulled out the kitchen front chapter is the one that really, really interests me. So those are the books that I'm looking at the moment. You may have also seen that I've been sharing, actually, just bear with me. Ugh. I have got a really nice series of Stork cookery service notes. So I've been recently sharing those. So I'm going to continue sharing those. And I'm also going to put them into PDF so you can download them on my website. So yeah, please go along to my website. I'll let you know anyway. I'll let you know on YouTube or the community tab on YouTube or my blog or social when I've got some files that you can download. I found this little book as well, Vintage Recipes from the War Years, the Homefront Cookbook, but this is an American one. It looks like there's an AI image used on the front, but the inside isn't, you know, it's not AI. This is, a lot of these are readers submitted recipes, so I thought this was quite interesting to look at from a US perspective and some of the recipes in that. This looks like it's printed by KDP on Amazon, and this has quite a few nice little recipes on there, and it's been submitted by people, and I love that. And I really miss that about living in Canada, you know. When I lived in Canada, people had potluck suppers. The cookbooks had a lot of readers submitted recipes, and I absolutely loved community cookbooks. It just gave me that sense of, it was different than the UK, you know, when I went over there. I loved the fact that people had potluck suppers. Everybody cooked and brought, those foods brought everybody together. And, you know, cookbooks that were created by people, you know, for charity events and things like that. Absolutely loved them. And then I found this old book. A cook I found out about when I lived in Canada. Her name's Jean Paré, and this book is about her An Appetite for Life. And she was one of Canada's most popular cookbook authors, and she created these very basic spiral-bound cookbooks on all sorts of sweets and desserts, and she was a really, really good cook. But it tells of her story. I so looked up to her, you know. It tells of her story, and she went through a lot of challenging times, and she just loved cooking, and she decided to create her own cookbook, and she self-published it. Wasn't really heard of, and she went to a book fair, and she had a stand with her books on, and some of the big publishers came over to her, and they poo-pooed her because of her little cookbook. And they said to her, well, you know, how many of these are you going to sell? You know, what, 50, 100 if you're lucky? And then she went to tell them, I can't remember how much she said, but it was thousands and thousands she'd been selling. And what they'd done is they had marketed the book in a different way, and they were putting her cookbooks in garages. So when people went in to buy their gas, buy their petrol, her little book stand, her little recipe books were by the counter where you go and pay for your fuel. And because they were such attractive little books, and they were full of these beautiful, bright, little, easy to make desserts, all the foods that people would bring to parties or potluck suppers, people picked them up to bring them home. It was a new way of marketing. She did phenomenally well. And she created, how many books I can't remember how many she created. I need to do a whole thing about her, actually. I know it's not wartime, but anyway, I was really inspired by her, and I found the book, and I need to read this again as well. So anyway, I've waffled on enough. I really need to start planning when I do a video, I think, and so we can talk about specific subjects, but I just fancied sitting down and having a chat. I really enjoyed it. Yeah. So yeah, I guess I will see you soon. Maybe I should plan to do, I know I've got my national loaf recipe going to come up. I did promise to do a carrot and potato pancake recipe as well. Now I have cooked that before, but I've not done a video of that. So these are 2 recipes that will be coming up very soon. But I'm also trying to upload some of the daily lunches or daily dinners I'm having just with my phone, just so you can see what I'm cooking. And I'm trying to put the recipe as well in the comments. So anyway, I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for listening to me waffling on as normal. And did you see that I can knit? Did you see I can knit? I've only managed to knit 2 squares, but honestly, I have tried all my life to knit and literally just viciously thrown the knitting and the needles at the wall before many a time. I just lost patience, just wasn't able to do it. I have persevered and I've knitted 2 squares, albeit with a few holes in, but you know, I've succeeded. I've managed to do it. And that's what I'm going to do with my weight loss and living on World War II rations and my cookbook. I'm going to get it done. I'm going to complete them, and yeah, it'll happen. It will happen. Keep going, keep persevering, and we can do anything, can't we? Speak to you soon.